We're inside the top 5, going with number 4, but it's definitely number 1 in the Edmonton Oilers' hearts at this point. Connor McDavid in the McDavid sweepstakes. I put it at number 4 for the reason that it did make a lot of headlines. We made headlines before as a overager, or one of those kids who was brought in, sorry, not as an overager, but brought in as a special exemption status, as coming into the OHL at 15. And certainly with the Oilers winning, the buzz around town, they found their savior. And if you look at what McDavid did with the number 1 pick, in his short, I know his NHL career isn't long, but you look what he's done in his short body of work. He's done in the Ontario Hockey League. He seems to find his way in the NHL. Blown out of proportion, or given his sample size, he's worth the hype.
No, he's worth the hype. The problem, though, is I know a lot of jokes are being made about how he's McSavior, McJesus, all that sort of stuff. There are some people who really legitimately thought that he was going to lead the Oilers to the Stanley Cup within like the first year. Okay, Andrew's pointing to me, and I said within 5 years. Okay, I did not say first year. No, I don't even think the Oilers will make the playoffs this year. But here's the thing, though, is it's for the, I will never forget the day for the lottery when they flipped that card and showed an Oilers logo, and I was like, it's just, you were not expecting that. Here's the thing, that's the best thing that's going to happen to Edmonton, because that helped turn around the team. So we're going to talk about the Connor McDavid effect. Yes, on the ice, it was great for when before he was injured, but how much turnaround that became, because now the team realized, I think I'm getting overwhelmed right now. No, the team realized that we need to make some changes. Out went the old guys, and came Chiarelli. You know, like they're kind of revamping things over, and I'm losing my voice right now.
I think
that topic.
Kind of to get on to your point, what you're saying is because they won the McDavid sweepstakes, they were able to bring in a guy like Chiarelli. They're able to bring in a guy like Todd McClellan as a head coach, and they're able to bring in certain players to add to the line.
That's the thing, is bringing in the players was huge, because they wouldn't have been able to sign some of these players if they did not have McDavid.
Sure. They had no choice to do that. You know. You look at what's going on in that organization, it's been a complete joke. Like, the last 9 years have been brutal. And when you get a player like Connor McDavid, and if you bring him into that type of environment, you might as well trade the kid, because he's going to spoil in Edmonton. The thing that when they realize, hey, Daryl Cates, you know what? Maybe it's time to actually change this organization. When you get a guy like Connor McDavid, who everybody, I don't care what anybody says, if they don't like the Edmonton Oilers, everybody's watching him. I guarantee you ticket sales went down when, Jack Eichel, Connor McDavid, nobody got to see that. Crosby, Connor McDavid, nobody got to see that. There were so many people that wanted to see Connor McDavid. And you look last year when he broke his hand before he went to the World Juniors, everybody's like, like what's going to happen? And he came back. It's not the fact that he went to Edmonton. It's the fact that he was compared to Gretzky and Crosby, and look what he's done. And to have him out of the lineup is kind of a shame for the NHL in general, because everybody wants to see the kid play.
And as he's done so far, though, is he living up to the hype?
I think so, yeah.
He's the small sample size, but it's still good.
Other than points, he was doing great. I think he has shaped that organization. And, you look at the dynasty years of the Edmonton Oilers, and it was awesome. And, casual sports fans and people who don't like the Edmonton would probably want to see a team do good. And the fact that he came in there and was able to wake up the owner, I guess you can say, to get the old boys club out and change the dynamics of that organization, I think it's huge. And
you have to look too. Games were moved to 7 o'clock. Games are always 7:30 in Edmonton. They've been moved to 7 o'clock just so Eastern, fans could check them out at a slightly earlier time.
It made fans, though, in my opinion, that they got blind to what the Oilers actually needed and what the problems were. And we talk about bringing a new coach, bringing in new management. We've been saying that for how many years? And it took Connor McDavid to finally for people to understand that you have management problems, coaching problems, goalie problems, defense problems, forward problems. You have problems everywhere. McDavid's not going to solve anything. And McDavid didn't solve anything. Let's be honest here. There's still a lot of problems. There's goalie problems, you got defense problems. There's still problems.
But he's renewed hope, but he's made some changes. Because what are the odds that Chiarelli is going to go to Edmonton if they weren't going to get the number 1 pick?
Yeah,
what are the odds of Todd McClellan being there if they weren't going to get the number 1 pick? Who wouldn't want to coach Connor McDavid and a guy who would turn over the program? Who wouldn't want to be there as a player, as a forward who knows that this is a decaying lineup and I want to be out? If I was Eberle, Hall, or Nugent Hopkins and I saw the situation, if Connor McDavid wasn't there, I'd probably want to be gone, and most likely those kids would have been gone if you still had the old boys club still in there.
They're an exciting team when they're winning. Look at this, that 6-game win streak. They didn't have Connor McDavid, but people were watching because it was fun. When you're winning, people will watch. People will come out, and that's the big difference.
And I think the biggest reason that renewed hope was because of Connor McDavid. And the small sample size, I think, was okay. Let's move on now to number 3, and it's going to be a local angle with this. I know some people might not necessarily agree, but I feel the CPCA and the controversy that happened in the finals definitely garners a top 3 in our top 10 list. And at number 3 is that finals where you had Vern Nolan, Ray Mitswing, Chris Molley, and Wayne Knight in the final. Ended up being a little scary, and for those watching this video, I have to warn you that it is a little bit gruesome. The horses were okay, but given what happened here, Wayne Knight's wagon caused this whole mess. That's how I see it. But they still gave him the win, even though Vern Nolan may have had a penalty when it came to his stove rack not being in there properly. He should have won because he crossed the finish line. That's how I see it. But how do you guys see it? I know you, both Brett and Andrew, worked extensively with the CPCA. How did you see it, Brett?
I think I agree with you that most of the blame might fall on Wayne Knight. And the fact that Ray Mitswing, he didn't finish the race, but why was Wayne Knight the winner when he caused the wreck and didn't finish? He got the average time. Ray Mitswing as well. He didn't finish the race, but coming around that top barrel, he had no penalties so far. So I believe that, it's still so far away.
You can't even because it's so frustrating.
Exactly,
and that's exactly how I saw it. Because I'm like, how can you still give it to the guy, Andrew? What goes into the mind for the judges to say, you know what, we'll go by average time and not give it to a guy like Vern Nolan?
We have no idea. We sat there for like 2 hours. Yeah. Waiting for an announcement, and we still couldn't figure out. We went back and forth on every single driver, how every single one should be given the Canadian Championship. How do you, in this sense, judge based on everything you saw? You have Ray did something wrong. Everyone did something wrong. Yeah, really. Everyone had a penalty, which is the next, third, fourth year in a row where everyone's gotten penalties in the final. But where do you go? Like, I don't know what you do in that scenario. It's the worst scenario that possibly could happen. Like, I spent the entire time there trying to figure out where to take a picture. Let's show people what I go through. Trying to take a picture, where to set up. I get my spot, and then that happens. So 2 hours of work gone, and now you're trying to figure out how to be respectful to the sport, but also be respectful to the people that are reading you and watching you. There's no good outcome from any of that.
Yeah. Okay, how about this? And Nerman, we'll get your comment on this as well. Does the decision to give it to Wayne Knight, and I'm not ragging on him, but in this case in particular, he won, so he's going to get most of the blame in this case. Just in this case, not in general, just in this case. Does the decision to give Wayne Knight the CPCA title hurt the sport in the long run? Because if you look at guys like Todd Baptiste, Vern Nolan, both of those guys said, I'm done. Lane Bremner, same thing.
But I was just going to say, you guys, because you dealt with it a lot more than I did, but you even said that there were some drivers behind the scenes that were not too happy with the decision. Everyone likes Wayne Knight. He's a great guy, but when it comes to that controversy, I don't want to say build the sport, but hey, people are still talking about it. That happened in August. People are still talking about it. Maybe they wanted a change of scenery. Maybe Vern Nolan just won it way too many times. Maybe they kind of switched things up. They didn't even give us a clear, exact answer as to why he won it as well, right?
We got to end it up really quick, though, but I do want to get it. Do you think it helped or hurt, or did it do anything at all?
Just same.
One word. Did you say it stayed
Definitely
the same?
hurt. Definitely hurt it.
Definitely heard it with a lot more reasons, but yes, that's a big factor.
There's a lot of changes to come next year, though.
Oh, that'll be interesting for sure, and we'll have to lay that for 2016. In the meantime, we're going to take another commercial break, pay some bills, and we'll have number 2 on our top 10 list next.